So as you can all see by the title, I am trying Phoenix's deck idea one more time, but with a couple of adjustments. One of them being my own, and one being one from the Phoenix, and one even from Unleashed. I figured why not do it all and try to make it all work within a deck in itself. And I'm going to be honest, I sat here building it for a good half hour or so last night, trying to figure out the best way to do it, which figures to put on the team, which character skills to use, uh, which ones had the most important trigger squares that will benefit the team overall, as well as still putting out optimal damage and one that has coverage in every single trigger square. And this was the best that I could come up with. I spent a good while thinking. I went back and forth between Spear Jiren as well as the God Coup, the Speed God Coup, and I wound up going with Phoenix's idea because this is actually a very, very good figure. He's got decent enough speed. He's got very, very credible HP and attack, and he's adding attack to himself each and every turn. And for the turn only, he's also adding another 500 attack on top of that to himself. And I want to say to all allies, I don't know if that counts himself. I would have to take a look at that, as well as the defense, because honestly, I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. Duh, learn to read. Place on a trigger square for plus 500 to attack and plus 180 defense to all allies. Okay, so pretty much this, I guess, is to build himself up in attack and build up his allies in defense. And additional plus 500 tone attack and plus 180 defense to all allies on the field, that turn only. So they're getting a total of, I want to say 3,400? Let me do that math real quick. Apologies, I just got off work, so I'm not really thinking too well right now on my own here. Whipping off the calculator. Let's see, 180 times 2, 360. Okay, that was stupid. Okay, so they're getting 360 defense to themselves every single turn, like no matter what. And they're getting an additional 180 every single turn as well. That's very, very good. And the same for his own attack. It's quite amazing, honestly. Like, I love this figure. Just for the stats and the posing skill, these are very, very incredibly good stats that benefit, I want to say, the whole team to a T. It's not like he's really adding any attack and that to his allies, and that's the only issue I have. But thankfully, that's also why I've got attack up A here and ADM up A. These are, I would say, two of my favorite character skills in the entire game, just for overall damage output. And then both of his trigger squares are in the front, so I've got ADM up F on him as well. And I went ahead and went with Unleashed's idea. Now, normally I 10 out of 10 all my figures into attack. I made an extra one, and this is the only figure that I have 10 out of 10 into anything that is an attack. I've got it all into his speed. And I think what Unleashed said was you can get him up to like nearly 6,000 speed turn 1 by himself. And then if you put 01 figures on top of that, he's even faster. It's ridiculous. And I say that because he's getting an additional 700. And then I think the multiplication takes into effect first before the addition. So first he's getting a ×3 speed boost. And then he's also getting an additional 700 speed, defense, and attack with STA up 01. And then he's also getting ×2 to his own attack if alone on the field. And when alone on the field, he's already getting 1,000 attack and speed for that turn. And by himself, he's getting another 1,000 to his attack and speed. And I think if you put all of his dupes into attack, you can probably get 25,000 damage done to the opponent's master, provided they're not running a Piccolo, of course. I would have to test that out for myself. If anyone has tested that out and can confirm that, then that'd be cool to know. But if that's the case, then he has the potential to easily one-shot anybody by himself. And that's just absolutely nuts to me. But I've went on about Vegeta long enough. I would say he's definitely the most broken figure in this entire game. They made him so busted. And he doesn't really add any defense to himself, or the Master even, but it doesn't matter when you're hitting that hard. And you're that quick. It's ridiculous, but whatever, Debs. So anyway, the original idea had Vegito in this deck. I went ahead and I got rid of Vegito, and I replaced him with Few just because Few's posing skill, he's going to still have that speed at the beginning of the turn when you lock your figures in place. And he's already got 5,580. I think he does slightly less damage than the Vegito with Videl and Champa. But with him, you can easily get behind opponents' figures. And if RNG is on your side, Toe is not really going to do anything to him. And I don't think Toe's going to do anything to him anyway, because I think I saw this happen to Muggs, where it literally just swapped the attack and speed on his Few. And it didn't matter. He was still getting all this additional attack and could still do plenty of damage. I don't remember if he was running this Few or the other Few. I would hope it's this one, because if it's the other one, I really don't think you're going to get very far with it. The other one is very much inferior in my opinion. But as you can see, everyone's got attack up A, EDM up A, and figures I'm going to be commonly putting behind everyone are Videl, of course, and Few. So they've got a ultimate attack gauge down to the opponent every turn. And then Champa, his only trigger squares in the front, so much like Super Saiyan 4 Goku, he's got ADM up F as well. And yeah, everybody except the 01 figure, of course, has both of those character skills on. And the good thing about that, actually, is if something happens to either Videl or Vegeta for whatever reason, yeah, they share the same trigger squares, but it's highly uncommon with this deck setup. You're ever going to run them both at the same time together anyway. So it just works out in the end. And look at Few here. His trigger squares are literally half the field, which is honestly insane if you ask me. I tested it last night against Broly, and he easily one-shots Whis with Champa and Videl out, no problem. Whether or not he would do the same to Vados, I don't know. I'd have to test that myself. And I'm trying to look at the stats on everybody and see if whether or not it's going to be a problem. Okay, yeah. For the most part, if you get swapped by a Toa, I would say that is the biggest boon to this deck. And it's not going to be as much of an issue if it's Videl. But still, she's not going to hit too much harder, of course, if she gets swapped by Toa. So, if you're facing a Toa with this deck, you may as well kiss your ass goodbye, I would say, because we go ahead and look at all the stats here, almost every one of their attack is much higher than their speed. And, it's easy to see why Toa is so hated within the community, but I've rambled long enough about this deck. I think it's great. I think this is probably the version of that deck that Phoenix suggested, probably what you're going to want to run. And let's go ahead and I'll show it off really quick against the new Broly free battle, and let's just go ahead and watch Whis die, because it is ridiculous how much defense Whis gets in this free battle. I don't remember his base defense stat, I just remember it being way too high. I don't know if they have dupes in their figures, because when I look at them, it doesn't really say that it does. It might, though, for all I know. Okay, that's why. It's because it's the defensive variant. I personally think the HP Whis is so much better, but that is up to the player, I guess. And he's got defense up off. I'm sorry, defense up off. That would explain a lot. And let's see what else he's got here. When opponent's ultimate attack gauge is 80% or higher for plus 350 defense, 50 to own defense. Cannot talk, I'm sorry, I'm exhausted from work. And it stacks during that turn only. I really don't see the point in using a skill like this. It's not very common you're going to have your opponent's gauge at 80% or higher all the time. Unless you're that good at shutting down their ultimates. But that's why you plan ahead for that kind of thing. And let's go ahead and just get rid of the Whis, because that's what we came here to do. So hopefully, okay, yes, he does put Whis in the upper left on his side. Now, whether or not Pew's gonna die by Beerus, I'm not too sure. Also, if you hear any buzzing outside, it's because the cicadas won't freaking shut up. Jesus, they are so freaking noisy. And, I just realized, because Beerus was sitting behind Whis, it did unfortunately make Few attack, Beerus instead of the Whis. But that's another really great thing about Few. If you have a setup like this with Champa and Videl, and you're worried about the opponent's shield blocking a really, really heavy hitter, then Few's a great way to get around that. Because it's like you just say screw to your shield and you just dive the backline like a maniac. And if they just got their shield out, then they're kind of screwed. And thankfully, the defense version of Whis doesn't do a whole lot of damage. I'm not too sure how much that would have done to Few if it were. But I can definitely say that with a double, it might have killed. So my master's going to be leaking a bit in HP, but Whis is going to get one shot, so it doesn't really matter. Don't need to do much the rest of that turn. One shot, easily. Yes, counterattack. I thankfully didn't do too much, but last thing I will say about this deck is I do like it a lot because it has coverage and there's just so many options with it. Videl's got 2 spots, Few's got 3, Vegeta has 2, Goku's got 2. There's just a lot of versatility with this speed deck. It's insane, and the damage output is crazy as well. And we are actually good enough to go ahead and put Champa, Videl, and Goku out by themselves. This should finish the fight. And before we close out here as well, just want to give a huge shout out to the Phoenix again, Unleashed, Mug the Dude, Ruckin' Robo, Enter Goku, and I think Zeno in Mug's server. Pretty much everybody in Mug's server, if I'm being honest. But anyway, that is going to do it for the video. That's how I would run Phoenix's deck personally. I could have shown off Vegeta there, but it would have just been too much. Just take my word for it. He's broken, and it's even more broken since you can easily break into him and make dupes for him easily. Like, I'll just show that really quick. I'm sure you're already aware of it, but which variant was it? I think it was this one. It's gotta be that. Was it 386? Yeah, 386. So, if you're lucky, just get a bunch of figure 384, break them into 386. Very, very easy to break into. But that's going to do it for the video. I will see you guys later, and I'm going to go catch up on sleep here. Peace.